All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Oluwaseun, and today I basically want to talk about, DevOps in 2024. And whatever it is I'm going to be sharing, all right, in today's video is just basically my own opinion, all right, my own contribution, to the discussion around how relevant is DevOps in 2024 and beyond? Is cloud jobs going to still, be available in 2024 and beyond? And, questions around how do I get a job? How do I land a role as a cloud engineer, as a DevOps engineer? Of course, I know there are a lot of videos out there that have explained, all of these things in details. There are a lot of roadmaps that you can follow, all right, and a whole lot of, courses and programs and training institutions, organizations, teaching people DevOps and cloud and all of that. But I just thought to, add my own voice, to this interesting conversation, as to how to land a DevOps role in 2024 and beyond. All right. Now, the first thing I want to clarify is, if you are looking to land a DevOps role or a cloud job in 2024, or basically, let's say you're trying to transition into IT generally, right? Now, the first thing I would like you to ask yourself is, why am I making this move? All right. So why am I making this transition? Right now, that the question why is very important. I mean, if you want to do anything, you must be able to define your why. Your why must be defined clearly. You must be able to, all right, understand and come to a point where you understand very clearly why you are going in that direction. So the question I'd like you to ask yourself is, if I want to become a cloud engineer, what is my reason for becoming a cloud engineer? If I want to become a DevOps engineer, what is my reason for becoming or transitioning into a DevOps role? Now, if your why is clearly defined, then it will make a lot more sense, all right, for you to start looking at, okay, so where do I start from, right? What are the tools? What are the technologies that I need to learn, right? How do I begin? What is the roadmap that I need to follow, all right? But if you don't define your why very clearly, now, for example, for some people, it may be that it may be money, right? I mean, I was once in a space where somebody was saying, oh, the reason why I joined the program is because, I mean, he saw the salary of a DevOps engineer, the cloud engineer, and he's somebody that loves to ride, big cars and all of that. And so that's the reason why he wanted to become a DevOps engineer. Now, meanwhile, this is somebody who was, doing a nursing program already and was about wrapping up. But according to the person, he wasn't enjoying the nursing program he was doing. So while the person was saying that, in my head, I was thinking, now the DevOps role that you're thinking to transition into will also require as much effort as the nursing program that you're about to wrapping up. Because a lot of people don't know that becoming a cloud or a DevOps engineer, it's even more tasking than some of the other roles that they are working in. Because I mean, apart from the salary, yes, it pays well. If you're a DevOps engineer, if you're a cloud engineer, you might get a higher salary, a better wage, better opportunities and all of that. I mean, you have the opportunity to work remotely, from home or from anywhere in the world. But of course, this is a field that is changing very fast, right? There are a lot of things, a lot of tools, a lot of things are evolving very rapidly. Now, if you're not somebody that can keep up with all of this change, if you're not flexible in your mind, if you're not somebody that can, begin again and learn certain things all over again, right now you may not do well in the long term as a DevOps or a cloud engineer. Because I mean, a lot of people don't realize this. They just look at the salary, they look at it and say, "Oh, this is a very good job. I want to become a DevOps engineer." But they have forgotten that this is a field that is fast paced, right? Things are changing every time, right? Tools are evolving. Now, if you're not somebody who can keep up with that, then you're going to have a problem in the long run, right? Because now, of course, we're talking about DevOps, we're talking about cloud engineering, but of course, don't forget there's GitOps, there's AIOps, there's MLOps, right? And a lot of things are still going to evolve over time. So if you're not somebody that is dynamic, cannot change your mind, you cannot learn and begin again and all of those kind of things, then you may have an issue, all right, in the long term. So that is the reason why, number one, your why must be clearly defined. So why are you going into this? Why are you transitioning into this? Now, if you have your why defined clearly, then it will be easy for you to start to know where to start from, right? You can take free courses on YouTube, you can take a paid course, whichever one works for you, all right, you can go, all right, that route. So number one, your why must be clearly defined. Now, number two thing that I would like to talk about also is that, a lot of people ask questions around, oh, what certification should I do? I'm interested in cloud. Should I go for this certification? Should I go for that certification? Now, certifications are not bad in themselves. All right. They're a way to measure your competencies in that particular area. All right. But one thing that you must realize is that in today's job market, right, getting a job is beyond certification, right? You have to go beyond that. You have to bring something to the table. Like somebody said, when you bring value to the market, all right, the market will pay for it. So when employers are looking to employ people in the cloud and DevOps space, one of the challenges they often face is the challenge of competency, right? So it's not just about, oh, I have, an advanced certification, I have this certification, I have that certification. I mean, you can have 10 certifications, you can have 20 certifications, but at the end of the day, when you come for an interview, the way you are able to communicate your knowledge will tell us, right, if you are actually competent or not, right? So I always encourage people that as far as certification is concerned, it is good, it is okay, but first focus on owning your skill, right? Focus on owning your skill. Focus on getting your hands dirty, right? Do projects, right? Do things, challenge yourself, go outside of your comfort zone. Try projects that you've not tried before and challenge your mind, challenge your mental capacity, expand it. Don't just sit in your comfort zone and say, well, the only thing I know to do is this. No, right? Pick a project on YouTube, replicate it, try to do it, and not just copy project on YouTube. All right, try to do it yourself and be able to explain also to another person what you have just done. Okay, so focus on skill, focus on getting the skill, focus on knowing the technology in depth, not just on the surface level. Because I tell people when you go for an interview, you don't know where the question will come from. All right. So you want to, as much as possible, know the technology in depth. At least 70% of what the technology you're talking about or you put on your CV is about. Okay. So I tell people, let skill be number one. Then certification can come later when you have earned the skill. And that is what is important. Now, I'm going to be releasing an article, right, on Friday, which is, I think, the 30th of August, right, where I talked about, the key trends, the market trends in DevOps, and some of the things to look at for when if you want to become a DevOps engineer. I really encourage that you read that article. All right. Now, again, just to emphasize that, all right, on this, skill is important. All right. In order of priority, skill will come first, and the certification comes second. Now, the third thing that I see that a lot of people do, which can hinder them from getting a job or even holding on to a job for a very long time, is faking experiences on your resume, right? Faking experiences on your resume. Now, you see somebody, you see a resume, and then the person says, oh, I have 10 years of experience as a cloud engineer, I have 5 years of experience, I have 6 years of experience as a cloud engineer, all right? And then they go to an interview and they cannot defend what they have on their CV. Now, that is a red flag, right? Now, I tell people anything that you mention on your CV, you must be able to defend every little thing that you have captured on your resume. Now, the reason why people call you for an interview, of course, you've submitted the application, they've seen your resume, it's impressive, but they want to hear from you, right? Now, I remember a friend of mine attended an interview, right? Now, in that interview, of course, he was able to say a lot of things. Every question they asked him, he was able to defend it as they were giving it to him. He was giving it to them back. And, when he got to the final stage and then he met his, manager and all of that, now the man said something. The man said, well, in the course of this interview, you've been able to talk the talk, but I hope you are able to walk the walk. That was what the man said, which means, I mean, you've said a lot of things, you're impressed, by the way you communicated your knowledge and all of that. But we hope that as you have talked the talk, you are also going to be able to walk the walk. Which means, I mean, we're impressed by the conversation that we had with you. But I mean, hands-on is what we want to actually see, right? So of course he got the job and he was able to, perform and impress them and all of that, of course, and he's still on the job till today, right? So the point is, whatever it is, if you say you have 2 years of experience, right, we want to see that in the way you communicate your knowledge, right? We don't just want to see it stated on your CV. We want to see you communicate it to us in a way that is clear, in a way that we can understand, in a way that actually complements or confirms that what you have on your CV is actually true, right? I mean, if your CV is the only thing that they need on your cover letter, there will be no need for an interview. But of course, in today's job market, people, of course, recruiters know that a lot of people put a lot of things on their CV that they don't even know. And then they call them for an interview and then they ask you one or two questions and then you just go blank and you can't even see anything. And they are wondering, but I mean, on your CV, you say you have this, on your CV, you say you have that. Now, for example, somebody who says maybe is 3 times AWS certified. Let's say, for example, you have cleared all the asset level certification of AWS, right? You have the AWS Solutions Architect Associate, you have the Developer Associate, you have the CSOP Administrator Associate, and all of that. And then you go for an interview, and then they ask you, so we have these 20 EC2 instances, all right, in one of our accounts. I want to find a way to, manage them. What can you say about Fleet Manager? And then you go, Fleet Manager. I mean, but on your CV, you said you're a certified CSOP administrator. So if you're a certified CSOP administrator, then you should be able to tell us what we can do with Fleet Manager. If Fleet Manager can solve our problem, or there are other services on AWS that we can use. Okay? So these are things that you need to take care of. All right? So don't just pack experiences, don't just pack certification on your CV, and then you go to an interview, and then they ask you very basic questions, and then you go blank, right? That is not going to help, all right, you. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about in terms of getting a job and landing a role is that you must work on your communication skill. All right? Now, there are people who have the experience, there are people who are knowledgeable in these things, but of course, they have difficulty communicating their knowledge. Now, that is also, all right, it's also a problem, right? If you know certain things, you should be able to build yourself up to a point where you can communicate your knowledge in such a way that, they find it interesting. Like that friend of mine that I made example of, right? He was able to talk the talk, right? He was able to convince them that, yes, I can do this job. And then he got the job eventually. So, as somebody who is aspiring to become a DevOps engineer, a cloud engineer, work on your communication skill. Everything that you have said you have done, all the projects that you say you've done in your that you have documented in your GitLab, on your CV, and all of that, you should be confident enough to talk about it. Right? Build that confidence. Right? Communicate better. Communicate well. Okay. In that way, it will also help you. That'll be a plus, and all of that. Right? So that's another thing. Now, the last one I want to talk about is that in this day and age, you have to embrace what is called learning in public. Now, learning in public is basically the idea that whatever it is that you're doing, anything that you're learning, you're always putting it out there. It can be in form of in form of an article on LinkedIn. It can even be in form of a LinkedIn post. It can be in form of recording yourself or recording your screen, working through a project and then putting that on maybe a YouTube channel or something like that. Right? You must be able to demonstrate what you know, all right, by sharing your knowledge in the public space. Okay, so that way you can connect with employers, you can connect with people that might be interested in working with you, and all of that. Okay, so these are some of the things that I believe if we begin to put it into practice, it will really help us to, land in our role, all right, quicker than we can imagine. All right. So I just want to encourage you. All right. Don't give up. Now, DevOps, it's a long term thing, right? It's not just a short term kind of career and all of that. It's something that is here to stay. But of course, you must be dynamic in your mind. You must be able to apply yourself to learning, and you must have a growth mindset. All right. You must have a growth mindset. Things are changing. Things are evolving. You must have a growth mindset. All right. So I hope with this information, all right, you are able to make informed decision. And I want to tell you, if you're yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, all right, subscribe to the channel because we are releasing, all right, our free DevOps courses, all right, every week, all right, starting from the foundations level up to the advanced level. I will start releasing videos. We've released videos on Linux and Bash scripting already. We're releasing video, all right, on Git this to Friday, the 30th of August. And then we're going to delve into AWS and see, the different AWS services. And of course, we're going to be doing a lot of hands-on projects, all right, as we go on. And we have some other playlists, amazing playlists, all right, on different technologies that are already in the works that we're going to be releasing in September, all right, going forward and all of that. So stay tuned, subscribe, all right, and I will see you, all right, in the next video.